let's talk about someone who has clearly been very busy ever since their arrival in Antarctica. Of course, the person who I am talking about is none other than Effie. Now, if you have not caught up to the third nightmare trial in which Effie appears in, this is a spoiler warning as something drastic happens to her which leaves a lot of people with differing reactions or emotions. That being said, in the third nightmare trial, we find that Effie is pregnant with a child. This was a very surprising development for me because even though on the exterior, Effie may portray herself as a muscular airhead who would pounce on whoever she thinks is even remotely attractive, we know that this is very much not the case. In fact, it's been stated and made very abundantly clear many times in the novel that this is not the case. Instead, this is a false facade that Effie puts up in order to guard herself and in order to just mask her many experiences and scars that more than likely weigh heavily on her mind, as she is someone who has gone through many hardships after and even before meeting the main cohort. Because if you remember, Effie had a whole crew prior to Nephis's, which was completely wiped with her being the sole survivor. And for that reason, this development was something that most people, myself included, could have never predicted. With all of that having been said, let's get down to answering the question that is the subject of today's video. Did GuiltyThree mishandle Effie? And to answer this question, I think we can come to a conclusion through three forms of analysis. Firstly, how easy is it to believe Effie's development? Secondly, how in character is this development for her? And lastly, how well does this development fit into the narrative of the story and further the plot? In terms of believability, it would be very unrealistic to believe that the lives of your friends goes on a complete pause when you're not interacting or talking with them. After all, they're living, breathing human beings with their own lives and unique perspectives. Hence, it's pretty easy to believe that while Sunny was doing his own thing, Effie was just straight up banging. I mean, it's pretty easy to believe that while Sunny was doing his own thing, that Effie met someone and formed a relationship with them that is deep enough to the point that she wants to have a child with the said person. I mean, after all, even though she is a person who is not as airheaded as she may portray herself to be, she is someone who has all of her basic bodily functions or senses heightened. And not to mention, prior to being a master, Effie was just bound to a wheelchair and she was practically just exploding or just waiting to experience all of the things that she had never experienced before due to the limitations that were placed upon her previously. For these reasons, even though it may come off as a surprise, it is definitely within Effie's character to be, well, for lack of a better wording, very active. Now, even though Effie's development receives greens in both the fields prior, the main place in which her development causes a problem, at least for me, is in the last field, in terms of how well it fits into the narrative and how it furthers the plot. Now, I say this because nothing of relevance has really come out of Effie's pregnancy, save for some throwaway gags as well as some minute hindrances which the cohort was able to quickly adapt to. Case in point, nothing really has shown up in the story which would have necessitated a main member of the cast to be, well, pregnant. Furthermore, Effie's pregnancy, it just really sticks out like a sore thumb when it comes to the narrative of the story, since there was really no prior build-up and the climactic reveal comes to us readers as gently as a hammer blow to the back of the head. In order to avoid the situation that we are in now, GuiltyThree could have very easily given us POV chapters similar to the ones that we received prior with Rain and Nephis. Instead, this time, it would be with Effie and how she came to be in a relationship with the poor fellow, showing us glimpses and moments in which she would build up her relationship, how she came to meet him, and how their relationship advanced to this point. Of course, I don't think this needs to be said or stated, but we can exclude the parts with the birds and the beetles or whatnot. Now, returning to the question that started this whole video in the first place, no, I don't think GuiltyThree fumbled Effie's character development or even ruined her for the fact of the matter. Instead, in my honest opinion, he fumbled in how he handled the pregnancy, since although this development is generally believable and generally in line with Effie's character, there was really just no build-up. Since GuiltyThree's idea of a build-up or hint for this development was just giving Effie motion sickness while the whole cohort was on the Chainbreaker on their little vacation in the Chained Isles. Ultimately, these are my thoughts and opinions on the matter. I would love to see what you guys thought about the development with Effie, whether you guys agree with me or not, and or if you guys have some other input that I didn't even think about. With that having been said, I don't really have anything else to say, so thank you so much for watching all the way through to the end, and I hope to see you guys in my next video as well.